Hey, stop giving talks that make you busy and start giving talks that make you money. In my brand new limited series podcast, Public Speaking Monetization Tips, I'll show you exactly how to use speaking to grow your business, attract high-end quality clients, and get paid, even from no-fee gigs. So if you're serious about turning your message into income, search Public Speaking Monetization Tips on your favorite podcast platform and hit play today. Hello, all my Be in Demand listeners. This is Laurie-Ann, your host. Today, I have a very special guest. And although I think I say that all my guests are special, and that's because they are. A couple of months ago, I was at PodFest. And this is my second time going. And one of the keynote speakers was John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneurs on Fire. I asked him a question after he spoke, and he looked me straight in the eye and said, I would be happy to answer that on your podcast. And we discuss him speaking and how he got on stage the very first time, how he wasn't very good, how his mantra is focus. And he explains what focus is. And I even ask him some great questions about, like, what do you wish you'd known way back in the beginning when you started speaking? And why did you continue speaking even after that very first time? So I hope that you enjoy this episode. So here's John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneurs on Fire. So just to remind you, I met you at PodFest and I came and spoke to you afterwards and
And
about.
as always, I say, hey, anybody who asks me in real life, IRL, I always say yes.
Well, the question that I had asked you, because you had mentioned about, like you didn't set out to be a speaker and you got asked to speak. How has speaking on stages or even virtual speaking impacted your podcast, your personal brand, your business?
I mean, for me, it's all about putting in the reps. If you want to be good at something, you have to be able and willing to put in the reps because I was not a good speaker. I was not a good communicator. I, was not a good facilitator of conversations. I just didn't have the skill sets. And I wasn't hard on myself. I mean, why should I have those things, not really having ever done those things? And when you start something called a daily podcast, that's 7 days a week, that's interviewing entrepreneurs literally every single day. I've now done 4,626 interviews in 13 years. You can't help but becoming better. I'm not saying you're going to become good and or great, but you're definitely going to become a better speaker, a better communicator, a better facilitator of conversations. And that's what podcasting gave me. And it gave me that in this kind of format that you and I are talking in right now. And then when I started getting a little success and a little notoriety, I started getting asked to speak on stages and to, be live in front of 100 people, 1,000 people. I've spoken in front of 5,000 people before. And that is just another way of up leveling your game because, right now, you and I are kind of in our safe spots right now. Like I'm in my studio, you're in your studio. I mean, I've got my cup of coffee right here. Like I'm about to take a sip. Like life is good. We can always just hit the end button if something happens, and we can maybe try to do it another day. When you're on stage in front of 5 people, 15 people, 50 people, 500 people, there's really no exit button. Of course, there's exit stage left, but you don't really want to take that because that's pretty awkward. So you're kind of up there and your game is going to be up leveled. And that's what really speaking did for me. It just said, hey, you become a really good podcast host on Zoom, on whatever format you're using to conduct the interviews. But are you really a good speaker in front of people who are staring at you, sometimes mouth agape, like, what is this guy talking about? Or they're just ignoring you because they're on their phones, or they're talking to somebody very rudely next to them. Can you still, with all that happening, can you still deliver value? Can you deliver a message? And that's what speaking in real life has given me, is the ability to really just focus on what I want to do, which is deliver value to the audience. And I love the word focus. It's follow one course until success. That's what I do, and that's how I'm here.
Thank you. That was a great answer. How'd you get on stage the first time?
It was actually a pretty cool story, if I'm being honest. So I decided to start my podcast back in September of 2012, and I didn't know anything about podcasting. I knew that I liked listening to podcasts, but nothing about the creation, the production, the technical side of podcasting. I didn't know any of that. So what did I do? I invested in myself. I hired a mentor. Her name was Jamie Masters. She was a fantastic podcast host for me, or coach for me. She was and still is a fantastic podcast host of The Eventual Millionaire. Like I can still remember having her show playing in the background while I'm doing like other things, like like just enjoying that aspect of being able to walk my dog, listen to a podcast, do all these different things. And she was a fantastic mentor. And one thing that I also told her was, hey, I think I should join a mastermind too. And she was like, hey, check out this guy, Cliff Ravenscraft. He has the podcast mastermind. He is the podcast answer man. Give him a call. And so I jumped on a call with Cliff, and it wasn't cheap. It was pretty darn expensive, but I was like, I need to be a part of this mastermind. So I joined the mastermind again at no small expense, but I was investing in myself because I really believed in what I was doing. And just being a part of the mastermind, Cliff got to really get to know me, see my mission, see how committed that I was. And then here comes December of 2012. So just a couple months later, Cliff is leading the podcasting track at New Media Expo, which at that time was like the biggest social media conference in the world. And it was taking place in Las Vegas. Thousands of people were attending. It was a really big deal. I was attending just as an attendee, and I was excited about that. And Cliff called me one day out of the blue. I was actually in a movie, like in a movie theater watching a movie. I had to step outside, could smell the popcorn. And he's like, hey, so-and-so just dropped out last minute. I need a replacement. Will you speak at New Media Expo? And I was like, yes, without even hesitating. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't care. Just get me on that bill. And it was awesome. I went there. I spoke for the first time. I did not do a good job. I had people very honestly afterwards tell me like, that was pretty average. Like, you were kind of like pacing the room. You were kind of looking down. You were kind of robotic. You were obviously quite nervous, and, your presentation was just okay. But I did it. Like that was just number one. Got it out of the way, learned that I could do it on some level, even if it wasn't very well. And then I just got better. And, now I've spoken from hundreds of stages, and I love doing it. I feel very comfortable in that home. But again, it's about putting in the reps. It's about taking the time to get better at your craft. And those things did not come easy to me. They did not come naturally to me. They came from toil and blood and sweat and tears and not being good to getting 1% better every time I did that thing.
Most people would have stopped with that kind of feedback after after you step off the stage that very first time, and that was okay, it was average, but you didn't. Why not?
It's my perspective. I mean, why should I be good? I've never done it before. Like, I don't see why people think that they should be good at something they've never done before. Like, that is kind of surprising to me. And I've actually found that perspective is kind of weird. Like, people just think, hey, I'm going to do X or Y or Z for the first time, and then they're not good at it, and it bothers them. It frustrates them. But my attitude is like, why would you be good at that thing? Like, how are you going to be naturally good at something you've never done before? Like, do you think Kobe Bryant was naturally a good basketball player? No, he was a great athlete, but he's a terrible basketball player until he started playing basketball every single day of his life. And same thing goes with Tiger Woods in golf and any other person you admire. They were terrible at that thing, or at the very least had zero skills in that thing when they started, and they put in the work.
Yeah. I just know that most people do wanna give up, but I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. You know
Perspective.
yeah, perspective and knowing that I gotta do more reps. The next one's gonna be better, just like you said, 1% better. What's one, like, speaking either mistake or golden nugget that you're like, Here's what I wish I knew back in the beginning." Maybe not the first time, but back in the beginning.
One of my favorites speaking skills that I've acquired and that I actually see most speakers do not have, and that those that do, it's almost like a little silent hat tip, like, oh, I see you, like you get it, like you're good. And that's called embracing silence.
Mm.
Speakers are terrified of silence. Almost every human's terrified of silence. You try to fill it with ums and ahs and words that you're not quite ready to say yet. So your timing's off, you're diction's off, your tonality's off. You need to be willing to just stop, look around the room, take a deep breath, settle your minds, and then go. And then at some point, do it again. Then at some point, do it again. And I can tell you what, if you stop like that during the middle of a speech and there's all of a sudden silence where there wasn't silence, everybody that was down looking at their phone, completely tuned out, they're doing one thing. They're looking up. Wait,
Yeah.
what's going on? Something's different. And you might reel them back in. They might go back to their phone because they're a loser, and that's fine. But some of them might not be a loser, and you might be able to bring them back in and deliver the value that you're trying to give throughout your speech because you're not afraid of silence.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I think there's power in silence. When we ask a question, we need to be quiet afterwards so that the audience has time to process what you just asked or or the profound thing that you just said.
And
Being
don't even make it have to be a question either. Like it can be, but a question, it's kind of natural to have some silence there. So people might not really think that's out of the norm that much. You want to have silence as well when it's not normal, because that is what's going to reset people. It's going to make them think, is this person screwing up? Is this person panicking? Is this person freaking out? And when you're not, and they think you are, they're going to re-engage, and then you have them.
Very nice. Very nice. What if you had to advise, other entrepreneurs about stepping onto a stage, what would you encourage them? Or would you encourage them?
If you have the number one solution to a real problem in a growing industry, you have an obligation to spread that message in the manner that you want to, whether it be a podcast or a YouTube show or social media or a blog, Substack, email, speaking from stage. All of those things can be good, and multiple of those things can be even better when you combine them. But if you truly have that mindset that I have an incredibly valuable mission to share, I have an unbelievably real solution to a meaningful problem that people need, then you have an obligation to get it out to the world.
Yeah, you do. And I think speaking is so much more than just stages and Zoom. You just listed off a couple, like podcasting to me is another stage. It's my show is my own stage. Your show is your own stage. And I think stages, everybody needs to be creating their own stage. Nice pause.
Embrace it.
Well, but part of the reason why I don't always pause on my podcast is because if it is an audio only, if somebody is only listening to audio, well, as I'm thinking of my answer, I'm thinking of exactly what what you've just said, and that they're going to come back and wonder, like, did I lose the audio? Like, what happened, and bring their attention right
It
back.
will. Because listen, when I walk every single day, I walk 3 miles in the morning, 3 miles in the evening. I have a 75-pound golden doodle that needs a lot of exercise. And I'm listening to audiobooks. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to shows 100% of the time. And my mind wanders. I'm thinking about this or that or this or that. And there are certain things that bring me back to focus. And silence is definitely one of those things.
Very nice. Very nice. So what's next on your focus list that you're concentrating on?
If it's going to be a life thing, it's going to be my 16-month-old son, Bo, who you got to meet a few months ago at Podfest. That's a big focus. He's napping actually right through that wall right there. So I'm glad he's getting a good nap right now. If you hear him, that means he woke up from his nap a little early. But that's definitely a focus of mine. But also it's continuing to go down deeper down this rabbit hole of something that I just truly believe in, which is we as entrepreneurs, if we want to find success and next levels of that, we need to truly become the number one solution to a real problem in a growing industry. And if you're not there yet, it's because you haven't niched down enough to get there, because that's where you want to carve out your niche, that you can either destroy the competition because it's not a great competition down there, or there's no competition. Like most of my wins have been because I've niched down into an area that had no competition. Like I'm still to date the only daily podcast in the world interviewing entrepreneurs. There's no competition. Like if you want a show like that, there's no other show in town. Like that's what Entrepreneurs on Fire is. And I've decided not to give up that place in the world for the foreseeable future because that's what I enjoy doing. And I know that that's the number one solution to a real problem in this world.
Dang, I like that. And how do you think that people should go about niching down so specific? Because too many people want to be generalists and don't
But yeah,
even realize they're a
I
generalist.
mean, when you're a generalist, you're just going to be in a saturated market with a ton of competition. You're going to be drowned out by all the noise. And by the way, nobody's winning up there. Like maybe the very first top players winning, and then there's everybody else and nobody's winning. So you've got to say, well, what's one step below that? What's one niche below that? And you got to keep willing to dive down into a niche within your niche within your niche until you're like, okay, this is where I'm going to start. And by the way, if you get something going in that niche and you build up a little audience momentum, maybe you are stepping it up to that next level now because you figure some things out and you've gotten better at what you're doing and you understand the markets and you can kind of expand that way. But I always recommend start as narrow as possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing, your answers and meeting you in person and sharing your message and in your daily podcast.
Well, thank you. Yep. Entrepreneurs on Fire. Anybody can check it out at any podcasting app that they listen to. And it's been a blast.
Thank you. I hope you got a lot out of that interview with John Lee Dumas. And if speaking is something that you've been wanting to do, you're just not sure how to go about it, how to write that speech, how to put in the reps so that you are outstanding on the stage and attract clients and get referred to other stages, I want to encourage you to book a call with me. The link will be down below. And let's discuss your business, your goals, and I will share with you how I work with clients. So until next week, I want you to know that your audience is out there. And just like John said, you have an obligation to get it out there, whether you're speaking on a podcast, on a stage, on a virtual stage, to a high-end mastermind, to a private community. You have an obligation to share that message. So till next week, go and be in demand. Hey, before you go, do you want to learn how to turn every talk into clients and cash? Well, check out my brand new limited series podcast, Public Speaking Monetization Tips. You'll learn how to find speaking opportunities, monetize every stage, and use your voice as your most powerful marketing tool. Whether you're a coach, a consultant, or an expert, this series will help you speak smarter, not harder. Search for Public Speaking Monetization Tips on your favorite podcast app and start listening today.